And we will get started. First question from the floor will probably come right here. If you would, folks, if you would just follow your eye right up to the right. There we go.
Doug Dowdy, Roanoke Radio. Coach Larranaga, before this group last year, you informed us that you had made 81 of 87 free throws or something of that nature. How's your free throw shooting this year?
Well, before I answer the question, I want to congratulate you, Doug Dowdy, on your 4 gold medals in the swim competition that you faced. Was that in Roanoke or was that national? Roanoke. Oh, I thought it might be a national gold medal competition. In my most recent free throw challenge, one of my freshmen, Danilo Jovanovic, wanted to compete and I needed to warm up. So I warmed up and made 39 straight free throws, and then he decided that we weren't going to have a competition.
And how would you do against the coaches?
Well, in this league, we got some great former basketball players, Hubert Davis and Jeff Capel. A lot of these guys can really shoot, so I don't know how I would do.
Next question from the floor for Miami. Seeing none, we'll bring it to the podium here. Isaiah, you seem to have a certain steeliness and style by which you play. Never high, never low, always locked into the moment. Where does that come from?
For me, I just feel like it comes from where I came from, where I live, and like my family, I always been with my brothers and my mom, so I feel like that still came into me. I always feel like in the games, I always just try to keep composure and just try to keep my confidence up. But I feel like if I overreact, it's gonna backfire at the end. But I feel like just keeping composure and just staying to myself, it just keep me consistently throughout the game.
Jordan, having played with Isaiah all of last year, what he described about himself, does that bring you comfort, consistency in your play?
Can you ask the question one more time?
Yeah, the way that Isaiah plays his game, never high, never low, consistent, does that add to your game, that level of confidence?
Yeah, Zay is very calm and composed. He's played a lot of college basketball, and I think it shows. And yeah, it just helps us, me and the whole team, honestly.
Coach, coming off a really strong season last year, how long do you hang on to the memories of what was such a special year before you transition into a next season?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, we celebrated our performance in the NCAA tournament when we were in Chicago. We came back, and as soon as we landed, my staff and I were focused on preparing for this season. We've got a great group of guys led by these 2 great young gentlemen who are tremendous competitors. Isaiah Wong has had a tremendous college career, and his best is yet to come. I think he's going to have an incredible senior year. Jordan made such a great transition, smooth into our program and added so much, and he's playing at such a high level. I think these 2 guys are definitely deserving of all conference honors.
Going to go to our left, second row, towards the wall.
Matt Montia with the Tiger, and this is for Coach Larranaga. So Charlie Moore and Karen McGusty, 2 phenomenal players. Obviously, they left, they graduated. How will this team look different, and how can they replace the loss of those 2 phenomenal players?
If I heard you correctly, you're asking how are we going to replace Charlie Moore? Is that what you said? Can you speak up a little louder?
Yes, Charlie Moore and Karen McGusty, with them both departing. How can you replace their production?
Yeah, well, we had three great seniors who are gone, starters, Charlie Moore, Cam McGusty, and Sam Wardenberg. And you're never going to replace them like with guys who are identical to them. But we have a great core of players who return, and we have 6 new players, 2 transfers, Nigel Pack and Norshad Omir, and 4 incoming freshmen, Christian Watson, Danilo Jovanovic, AJ Casey, and Feva Ire. And the combination of those 6 guys to go along with the 7 veterans, we feel like we can build upon last year and have a good combination of strengths both at the offensive and defensive end of the floor.
Coach, from the podium, you talk about never having that same type of athlete because you're never going to be able to replace him. Your student crowds last year were probably some of the strongest you've ever had in your time at Miami. And granted, the student body changes from year to year. How do you keep that momentum with the students?
Yeah, it's a great question about how do you involve your students in games, especially in Miami, where there's so many other forms of entertainment, so many other things that the students can do. And last year, on 2 consecutive home games, we broke the student attendance record. And my staff and I have cultivated a group called Category 5. And Cat 5, if you don't know what that comes from, it comes from hurricanes. You have different categories of hurricanes. The last one that just passed the west coast of Florida was like a Category 4. So our student body is a Category 5, which means they're tremendously enthusiastic, and we work with them to try to get more students to the games. My staff and my players do a great job of trying to include the students, and you might even see after a game, our players go into the stand and high-five the students and the pep band. We think that they're very much a part of the atmosphere and the electricity that they create in the Watsco Center, our home arena.
Is that an intentional call to action, having your students go into the stands, or are they doing that just naturally because they're feeding
Oh no, that's
off
with
of it?
my direction.
Okay.
No, we want our students to feel very much a part of it, and I know our players really enjoy the enthusiasm. This year, I believe for the first time since I've been at Miami, we're going to move the pep band in the student section to the opposing team's end zone, trying to create a little bit more havoc for our opponent when they come in, maybe giving us a little better advantage. But at the end of the game, should we be celebrating, we'll be down there with the band and the student body.
Jordan, you were nodding along the way. What is it about what Coach is talking about with the student section that you agree about?
Yeah, I think the student section just gives us energy. You know, some games, every game's going to be different. You need to pick up the energy, but being able to have the student section there cheering us on, you know, wishing nothing but the best for us is something that, you know, everybody gets to experience, and it's just wonderful, honestly.
Other questions from the floor for Miami? We'll go back to Doug, gold medalist.
Some of your greatest successes have occurred later in your career. Anything you can attribute that to?
I think any success that I've enjoyed throughout my 51-year career is a direct result of my coaching staff doing a great job of identifying the right players to recruit and the quality of the player and person that we've brought to our program. These guys and their teammates are just so much fun to be around. They're hard-working players. They're really good basketball players. They're also really good people, someone you enjoy having a conversation with, someone you enjoy watching video, watching them interact and have fun on the court, off the court. And when you have good players make good coaches. Great players make great coaches. And the coaches that have been fortunate enough to have a ton of great players throughout their career, they're the ones that are, you know, winningest coaches of all time. I feel very fortunate. I think right now I'm 8th or 9th among all active coaches with career victories with 695. So I'm shooting for 700, and I'm hoping these guys can get it for me. But more importantly is us getting back to the NCAA tournament and seeing if we not only can repeat, but even go further this season.
Isaiah, from the podium, you enter this season a 2-time All-ACC honoree with over 1,200 points in 3 seasons. Is there another gear? Is there another level in your game?
Yes, there's another level to my game. There's always, I think for every year there's always something to improve on, and I'm always in the gym, just working out, just trying to be more consistent as a player and just trying to help myself, better myself every season, just trying to help the team as much as possible.
Questions from the floor for Miami? Coach, in reading through the notes, it says here that you had 0 players transfer to another school for the 4th time in the last 5 seasons. What gives? Why are people sticking around as long as they are?
Okay, can you repeat the
I
last
will.
part?
0 players transfer to another school for the 4th time in the last 5 seasons. So you haven't lost anybody. The portal's got all this stuff going on, but nobody's leaving Miami seemingly to go into the portal. So why is that?
All right, well, first of all, I got to give credit to my staff for identifying the right players. When you have a player, and I'll use Isaiah as a perfect example, if he had put his name into the portal like had been rumored, I mean, he would have been as highly recruited as any player in the country. But I think, and Isaiah, called me the day that came out and just said, hey, I'm either going to the NBA or coming back to Miami. I love Miami, and the players love being in the environment that we have. It's a great school academically. The basketball program is very much a part of their lives, and they love it. And the players and coaches get along really, really well. And we've added transfers like Jordan and Charlie Moore last year that fit in so beautifully. And we've been able to balance bringing in a transfer or two and not lose anybody to the transfer portal. And a lot of that credit has to go to the players of making the adjustment to Miami and to the ACC.
Jordan, do you have to win a championship to call it a successful season?
Not necessarily. I mean, I think every team could agree that it would be nice. But there's a lot of things you learn from any season. What you take away is what's most important. So I'll answer your question as a yes and no, and just leave it at that.